Hi, everybody. Welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. This is Church and World News. And a really weird thing has happened. I know a lot of you already know about this because you put it in the comments and sent me emails about it. And I saw it myself pop up in my news feed. So we have another person I'm going to add to the list. This is Sandra Day O'Connor. She was the first woman to serve on the Supreme Court. This is part of what seems to be a series. I know some of you don't really pay attention to this, or you don't think that it's anything. That's fine. There's those of us that do, including myself, and so I'm going to track it. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you haven't seen my other videos, I'll show you what I mean. Also, later on in this video, we're going to cover this strange pneumonia outbreak that's going on that started in China, and we've covered the fact that it's been in Europe and now it's in the United States, and I'm not so sure that it's just a benign, thing that has to do with lifting restrictions from the COVID era. That's what a lot of people are saying, but why is it spreading? We're going to look at that. And then there was a strong earthquake today off the coast of the Philippines. And as of right now, at the time that I'm making this, there's a tsunami warning for Japan. And I think potentially for the Philippines, but I know Japan for sure. So we'll check on that. And all right, so we'll just start with this. So, okay, Sandra Day O'Connor. First, let's read about her, and then we'll look at the list. It says here on Forbes, and this is the same article, by the way, that I used in the last video where we were talking about Henry Kissinger and Dianne Feinstein. So they updated this yesterday. Okay. Sandra Day O'Connor, the first woman to serve as a Supreme Court justice, died at age 93 of complications related to advanced dementia and a respiratory illness, the court announced in a statement. O'Connor was appointed to the court in 1981 by President Ronald Reagan and served until her retirement in 2006. A moderate conservative, O'Connor was often considered the center of the court's ideological spectrum, and she was the swing vote in a number of major decisions. O'Connor was considered the deciding vote in a 2003 case that upheld affirmative action in college admissions, and she routinely upheld the Roe versus Wade decision that established a constitutional right to abortion, in one instance stating overturning Roe would deal profound and unnecessary damage to the court's legacy or legitimacy and to the nation's commitment to the rule of law. Okay, so she just passed away. But the fact that we're focusing in on here is the fact that she was the first woman to serve on the Supreme Court. The reason why is because you know that I keep this spreadsheet called Timeline Second Coming, where I keep track of all sorts of events that seem significant. And because this is like, this list is expanding, I've decided to make its own spreadsheet. I'm going to keep, posting it here on this spreadsheet, but I've created a new spreadsheet for these notable deaths. And I'm going to call it Timeline Deaths. I haven't named it yet. Interestingly, though, it looks like Google Sheets, the default name is Sheet 77, which is pretty appropriate. The number of, 7 being the number of completion, perfection. And it does seem like the current world order, the nations of the world, this old system is coming to an end very quick as we approach the second coming. So here you go. Here's all the people that are all dying within a year of each other. Some of them hold the name of royalty, like the king of this, the princess of that. Some of them are literal kings. Other ones are the longest living of their type or the longest serving of their type. So let's just go down the list. So the first one that I know of, and if you can think of any that I don't have on here, I would like to know. Send me an email. But the first one that is on my radar, let me zoom in even more. We have Shinzo Abe, Japan's longest serving prime minister, who was assassinated the 8th of July of last year. So of Japan. So I have, and this is the important part right here. In my mind, this is the important part, column A, because these people are symbols of these nations, institutions, and things like that. So we have Japan first, And then we have the Soviet Union with Mikhail Gorbachev, longest living leader of the Soviet Union, died at the age of 91, August 30th of last year. So you see how it goes. I'm not going to say the age of everybody. You can see the date and the age. After that, Queen Elizabeth II, longest reigning British monarch and second longest reigning sovereign worldwide, behind French King Louis XIV. The day after she died, President Nelson became the oldest living prophet or apostle of the Latter-day Dispensation. I'm going to put a space here between them. Okay. And on the place where I'm getting these icons, they didn't have anything for the church, so I picked this Christ kind of icon. Okay, so it's weird. It's weird how Queen Elizabeth, who had been around for so long, my entire lifetime, it felt like she would always be queen forever until the second coming. She passed away. And of all days, the day before President Nelson becomes the oldest prophet or apostle of our church in this dispensation. After that, Jiang Zemin of China, longest living president of China and leader of the Chinese Communist Party. Hawaii, they had like a royal family, and this is like the last of the royal family of Hawaii. Abigail Kawananakoa, the last Hawaiian princess. Okay, we have the king of soccer, also known as Pele. His name is Edson Arantes do Nascimento. He passed away. Why do I have that? That's not a country. Well, for some people, sports and entertainment is more important than country, love of country, or things that actually matter. So that's why I have that. And he carries the name King of Soccer. This world is about to change. There's not going to be idolatry. I'm not saying if you like Pele that you're engaged in idolatry, but a lot of people are. A lot of people, they are engaged in committing idolatry when they become huge, just like super fans of things like this, soccer, football, baseball, whatever, hunting. It could be anything. It could be stamp collecting. I don't know. Things that you put ahead of God. That's idolatry. So that's why I have it on here, in the fact that he had this unofficial nickname of King of Soccer. I feel like it's symbolic. It's a good symbol. Okay, and then Pope Benedict, the longest living pope of all time. He died on New Year's Eve. Seriously, New Year's Eve. That's weird. That is weird. It's like he's not permitted to see the next year. And then the first death of this year, Constantine II, the last king of Greece. Yes, he was in exile, but he was the last king of Greece. He died earlier this year. Lisa Marie Presley, daughter of Elvis Presley, because he's the king of rock. She's the princess of rock. Same rationale as Pele. And then after that, the longest living nun of all time, just within a couple weeks of the longest living pope. That happens all the time. You know, Lucille Randon, she was 118 years old. Tina Turner, the queen of rock and roll, she passed away. And then here's the more recent ones. Dianne Feinstein, the longest serving woman in U.S. Senate history. After that, Henry Kissinger. He wasn't the longest serving, but according to the New York Times, and I'm sure other sources, he's considered, well, according to the New York Times, the most powerful Secretary of State. Got a typo there. Most powerful Secretary of State in the post-World War II era. All right. He was very powerful, involved in politics all the way, I think, until he died. And it's just weird that within a few days, within like 3 days, you have Dianne Feinstein of the Senate. You have Henry Kissinger, the Secretary of State, so the executive branch. And then you have this most recent one, Sandra Day O'Connor of the judicial branch of the United States. You have like all three branches of government here. Of course, we're waiting on Jimmy Carter. He's the longest living U.S. president. He went into hospice care. I want to say it was in February of this year. They thought he was going to pass away within weeks, but he's still alive. So literally any day, he's going to pass away. So it's really weird. And I said this in the last video. It's almost like there's an order to this. I see it as a sign. Some of you see it as a sign. And the sign would be that this world is coming to an end. That these eras, that these very long living people, almost all these people are in their 90s. They represent an era, the era of the Soviet Union, the era of Japan, the era of the United Kingdom, the era of China, and so forth. And so it's fitting that maybe the last of this series would be the United States itself. And strangely enough, we have these three right here all in a row, just day after day after day. Well, no, sorry, this was back in September, but you have these two within a couple days of each other. It's just weird. And again, they represent, in a sense, these three different branches of government. Of course, the one that would really represent the executive branch would be President Carter himself, because he was president. But it seems like that's not going to be too far from now, or too long from now. So very strange stuff. Okay, now let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk about this, what they're calling white lung pneumonia that's spreading. And I'll show you on the map. I made some icons, or I downloaded some icons, and I have a new icon for this outbreak that's taking place. So just as a reminder, it started in China. New York Post, what we know about the respiratory illness causing havoc at China's hospitals. A worrying video has emerged showing a huge crowd of masked patients waiting to be treated inside a hospital in China amid growing concerns over a spike in mystery respiratory illness that have been hitting children especially hard. The video was recently recorded inside one of Beijing's medical centers, showing hundreds of adults and children crowding a sprawling waiting area. Beijing health officials and the World Health Organization insisted that no new or unusual pathogens have been found in the pneumonia cases, which had been attributed to a rise in the number of children contracting viruses they had dodged during 2 years of draconian COVID restrictions, which only recently had been lifted. So according to them, it's because we're lifting the restrictions and this is to be expected. Okay, whatever. So the next one, mysterious child pneumonia cases spike in parts of Europe as COVID-like surge continues in China. Oh, okay. Pneumonia cases in children are unexpectedly surging in the Netherlands at an alarming rate, at the same time as China continues to grapple with a tidal wave of respiratory illnesses threatening to overwhelm its hospitals. And we've read this in a recent video, but it continued after this. It continued. Ohio. Okay, so this is from the 30th. Ohio becomes first state to report uptick in pediatric pneumonia amid surging cases in China. Ohio becomes the first U.S. state to report a mysterious uptick in pediatric pneumonia as cases surge in China. The Warren County Health District has reported 142 cases of the illness among children since August, according to a press release. This is above the county average and meets the Ohio Department of Health's definition of an outbreak. However, officials do not think it is a new respiratory disease, but rather a large uptick in the number of pneumonia cases normally seen at one time. Well, that's kind of coincidence, isn't it? That we're seeing this in Ohio, in the Netherlands, in China, and it's nothing new. And I don't know, maybe it's not. Who knows what the heck is causing this, but something weird is going on. The illness has spread across multiple school districts, and the average age of those fallen ill is 8 years, the local health district said. There have so far been no conclusive patterns among the children diagnosed, but many have symptoms of a cough, fever, and fatigue. Children are also testing positive for mycoplasma pneumonia, strep, and adenovirus, which includes the common cold, according to the health district. Okay, what next? Oh, in this article, Sweden, Switzerland, and Singapore have also recorded more than 100 cases from April through September, according to a study published last week in the Lancet Microbe. Daily Mail. Now Denmark battles surge in same type of white lung syndrome, pneumonia sparking fears in China after Netherlands warned of alarming spike in cases. I'm not going to read all this, but okay, the Netherlands now, now it's Massachusetts, is second state with child pneumonia outbreak as questions remain about virus sweeping China. Not going to read that. I highlighted it, but it's just going to take too long. Now it's Canada. Mixed pathogen outbreak declared at Calgary Hospital. That's another feature of this thing, is that it's a mixed outbreak, meaning you have like these different sicknesses that are just suddenly popping up in all these different cases. So it's weird. It's very weird. So what I did, I went ahead and went on Google Earth, and this is what it looks like. So these radioactive green biohazard icons is where there have been reported outbreaks. And I have these backed by these different news stories. So just trust me, I'm not putting anything on here that is not backed by a reliable source. Okay, so this is what Europe looks like right now. And then this is what the United States looks like right now, as well as Canada. And then over here, we got China in Beijing. And according to those articles, it's sweeping the nation. And then Singapore. Okay. So these are the areas where this is mysteriously happening, even though the first article said it's, because China's lifting their restrictions. Well, is China lifting the restrictions on all these other countries? Why is it happening over here? So here we go. I guess we'll see where this takes us. And maybe we're going to go through the same nonsense that we did for the last few years. Maybe this will be the desolating sickness that everyone's talking. Maybe it wasn't COVID. Maybe it's going to be this. I don't know. So, I wouldn't stress out about it. I really wouldn't. Even if it becomes a big thing, you survive the last one. And, if we live righteously and do everything that we know we need to, the Lord will protect his people. Some will be affected by whatever happens. And we don't know that this is going to spread anymore. Maybe it is benign like they're trying to make it seem, but maybe it's not. Maybe we have COVID-19 2.0 headed our way. But this time, if it does happen, let's try and be nice to each other. Let's not get all uppity about stupid things like masks and vaccines and stuff like that. Just be kind. Pass the test. Don't be rude. Don't be unkind to others that are on the other side of whatever the issue is. Because for all we know, maybe it is a test of how we behave and how we treat others. Okay, and then lastly, here's another graphic. This one shows on this is from this guy, Mario Nafal. I don't know where he got this graphic from, but according to this, it includes the UK. I haven't seen anything to back that up, so that's why I don't have it on my Google Earth. And then you have all these countries down here, India, Thailand, Indonesia, that are on alert for what's going on. So those are countries that are on alert. Okay. Now, let me go ahead and refresh this. There was an earthquake that took place off the coast of the Philippines, and according to the National Data Buoy Center, there are 4 buoys that are in event mode, which means that there's potentially a tsunami that could be taking place in that area. You see these ones right here that are like pulsating like that. Doot, 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 doot. Okay, so there was a 7.6 magnitude earthquake struck off the southern Philippines, and a tsunami warning was issued. However, the U.S. said that there's no risk of like a large wave. Let's see. The U.S. tsunami warning system, which initially warned of waves of up to 3 meters above the usual high tide level, later said there was no longer a tsunami threat. Now, I wanted to know, how does that compare to the tsunami in 2011? You remember that one? If you go to my recommended videos playlist, I have a compilation on there. It's from another YouTube channel that shows just raw footage of the tsunami in 2011. It was like unlike anything that I have ever seen, and it was quite cinematic. But I wanted to see, how this compares to what happened back then. According to Britannica, it says of the 2011 tsunami, it generated waves 11 to 12 feet or 3.3 to 3.6 meters. Okay, so that's what it took, I guess, to produce that kind of tsunami, which was utterly devastating. So what about this one? Well, let's see. Oh, I don't have let's see. Okay, so let me refresh this. This is from 2 hours ago now. Japan is on alert. They do have a tsunami alert going on, and you can see it on this. Let me zoom in. You can see it on this map right here, southern Japan. And it says, as for Japan, a tsunami of 1 meter high may reach Miyako Island in the vicinity in Okinawa, as well as other prefectures. And so I suppose this is the area right here. Let's see, the key says, okay, so here was the epicenter where this X is, down by the Philippines. And then the red dots mean high tide time and estimated initial tsunami arrival time. Okay, whatever. So you have that going on. Let's see, I'm going to go in. Well, let me see if this is updated. This is the National Weather Service tsunami alerts. Nothing new here. They just talked about the fact that there was no tsunami expected for the Philippines. Some things here for, well, this is from before today. Okay. Oh, and here's one not expected for California, Oregon, Washington, British Columbia, or Alaska. So they're clear. Okay, we got NERV or NERV. Let me refresh this. Real-time earthquake, tsunami, and typhoon info for Japan. 1 hour ago, do not return to the coast or near any large bodies of water until the advisory has been lifted. Keep up to date on the latest information via battery-operated radio or with the NERV disaster prevention app. And then this one repeats what we just read on this, what's this called? Kyoto News. Waves of up to 1 meter are expected. So I don't know. So does that mean that it's going to be like 1/3 of what we saw in 2011? I don't know. There's nothing new. I'm refreshing the stuff here. Nothing's happened yet that I know of. But this could become a story. I don't know. We'll just have to keep our eyes out. And then there's this here too. Basically the same thing. This is just another thing saying, based on the local tsunami scenario database, it is expected to experience wave heights of more than 1 meter above the normal tides and may be higher on enclosed bays and straits. Destructive tsunami is expected with life-threatening wave heights. Okay, that's according to this, whatever this is. And I don't really care. I more care about what's actually going to happen. So we'll just have to wait and see. The alert is issued by EFR. Do you know who these people are? EFRB or JMG or LRT? If you do, put it in the comments below. Here are some videos of the earthquake in the Philippines. Let's see. This is a video captured in Surigao del Sur in Mindanao. The energy of the magnitude is devastating, as you can see with that video. Here's another one. Alert, a massive 7.6 magnitude earthquake just hit off the coast of the Philippines, not far from Japan. Okay, people running and things look crazy. Looks like a transformer blew or something like that. And then over here, the quake hit in the middle of the night. Video from Davao City. The shaking lasted for over a minute. Looks like this is a restaurant or a club or something like that. So I went ahead and I updated my earthquake tracker. Wikipedia, I get these numbers from Wikipedia. There's no way that I can manually track this myself. I know that there's the USGS like earthquake website, but I'm not going to manually do it. There's people doing that already on Wikipedia. I'll just trust those numbers. So they finally updated the 5.0 and 4.0. Like the last time that I updated this, they hadn't updated that. So since the last time I updated this, there hasn't been this many 5.0s and 4.0s. It's just backlog. But this appears to be correct. 5 new 6.0 earthquakes, like between 6.0 and 6.9, and 1 new 7.0 to 7.9, which is the one that we're talking about right now, which brings the total to 18 for the 7.0 to 7.9 range for 2023. So as far as 7.0s go, it's been a pretty active year. You have to go back to 2015 to match what we're seeing this year. As far as everything else, the other magnitudes, this year doesn't really stick out very much. The only other way that I can tell that this year sticks out as far as earthquakes go is the death toll from that, primarily from the earthquake that happened in Turkey earlier this year. But there was also a couple deadly earthquakes in Morocco and Afghanistan that have added to this number. But as far as all the years from 1985, this is the 5th deadliest year as far as death tolls go. Yeah, and that's basically it. So let's pray for Japan that it doesn't get hit by a tsunami, and if it does, that casualties will be at a minimum, destruction will be at a minimum, and that everyone will be okay. But that's going to be it for this one. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.